Good evening. We're calling the meeting to order. This is a MUD 12 Utility Districts number 12's regular meeting on Monday, August 27th, 2002. Time is 6:01. I call the meeting to order. We have the quorum present, 4 board members. And the first item on the business is to stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance and then a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A brief prayer. Father, we thank you for allowing us to come into a great country that you designed and gave to us. Help us to treat it with the respect that you want us to. Help us to treat it with each other with respect, understanding, and realize that we're all just servants of yours. Since we ask it. Amen.
I think I belong to the flag for a lot of people.
What's that?
I think I was standing in the way of the flag for a lot of people.
The first item on the business is public comments. Just a couple things just to remind you to. Everyone got a piece of paper that said the public comments are 3 minutes, allowed by the rules set by the Texas Governor Code. Please refrain from cursing. The board members may not respond. You don't have to. And if you're able to adhere to the meeting rules, please don't address the board. One more thing I'd like to read, if I could, please, for a second. I wanted to take a moment to make sure that everyone tonight understands the meaning of and the reason behind the sign that was needed to be placed in the front of the MUD 12 building. Under federal labor regulations, it is not permissible for anyone to knowingly introduce potentially infectious into any workplace under OSHA 29 CFR 1910, Section 1030. Section 1200 of the same 29 CFR 1910 mandates that the employers must inform and train employees on precautions when any potentially hazardous materials are introduced into the workplace. The MUD building is categorized as a workplace under OSHA standards, and with that, the MUD must insist on compliance during their meetings. Therefore, to remain in compliance with these federal standards, no one that enters the MUD building shall be allowed to bring any of these items, any of these materials into the premises. This applies to the building as well as any MUD property. Visitors to the MUD building or meeting attendees who violate the federal standards will face immediate removal from the building as well as other potential remedies. Thank you for your cooperation. That was written to us.
Richard, can I add that we were asked to read that? Is this one working? Sorry. Can I add that we were asked to read that?
Yes, we were asked to read that by the District Attorney of Galveston. Okay, the first item on the business is public comments for agenda items only. So you have 3 minutes. Timekeeper is Sharon. And so you have 3 minutes this is for comment time. And this is not necessarily a response, but it's a comment for the agenda items only. Anyone want to comment?
Javier Bernal, 1289 Blue Heron. One of the agenda items, number 8, discuss approval of the operating budget. As was raised last meeting, director's fees. One of the questions I have that a normal director's fee, directors would meet once a month. At approximately $150 a month, that's $1,800 a year. 2 meetings would be $3,600. 3 meetings a month would be $5,400. 40 meetings in a year would be the total of $6,000. Now the question to you is why 2 directors are annotated for $6,000 for 40 meetings for the next upcoming year. If there's a need, then that should be preempted, not preempted, but looked at month to month, because the expectation as a director would be once a month. And a budget meeting specifically, that can be combined with a regular meeting. To me, that was unnecessary, another way to cut costs for additional director's fees. Not necessary. The other thing that was raised too was the vehicles owned by the MUD. I understand there are 3 trucks and a backhoe owned by the MUD. So the use of those trucks, and it was explained to me that the current operator that's working here, that is now part of TOPS, is utilizing one of those vehicles. So my recommendation is that the employee is with either with MUD or with TOPS. If he's with TOPS, then he should be, if a truck is necessary, that truck should be provided by the operating company. Now, as an alternative, maybe the TOPS would like to purchase one of those vehicles, or all 3 if that's a potential. The backhoe, how often is that used? How much does it cost the MUD for insurance purposes? And what is the initial cost of that piece of machinery? Again, the usage warranting the need for a backhoe for the MUD. Because with the MUD we've had, any type of construction that was done, operators or any construction coming in, they would rent their own machinery to take care of what's necessary, or what they were hired for, and that's part of the whole overall cost. The canal project update, just saw the update that you have and the possibilities, which says alternative plans. Alternative 2, channel dredging alone. This alternative would allow increased tidal flows between the bayou and Jones Bay. It's not specific to what channels we're talking about, what canals we're talking about. Alternative 3, remove invasive species and revegetation alone, with native species better suited to existing and FWOP conditions. Okay, preliminary evaluation of those alternatives says a combination of 2 and 3 would be the best. So with this canal project, the funds that were raised, the expectation of the MUD participation, what exactly would those funds from the MUD participate in if there's an agreement to even do that? Because how does it positively affect the overall MUD, not just a portion or specific members or residents of the MUD? How does this impact MUD 12 entirely? And again, that's preliminary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your timing is great.
Really quick to address the issue of the trucks and the equipment. I just talked to Nathan just a few minutes ago about that. The problem with the truck is it's literally a brand new asset. So we approached selling it to them, but to sell it to them, as soon as you drive something off the showroom, there is a loss to it. So also right now, we're still in the preliminary stages with TOPS as far as having an operating company, so we don't want to look at selling off our assets yet. He did tell me that they are exercising the backhoe and the jetter and the generators, so the equipment is not setting up. But y'all are insuring the truck, correct? Since y'all's off. Okay. So they are covering the insurance. So the only cost to us right now is a truck that we would lose more money on if we were to sell it right now.
Sorry, since there was an answer here, that doesn't require all questions to be answered, but I would defer to Nathan to answer that, or add to Eric's answer if necessary.
And that was, again, my question was about 3 vehicles.
Okay.
So that's one.
So just in general, do you have anything to add there? I mean, I know the structure, but I don't want to misquote you.
Okay, next.
Oh, well, hold on.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly an option and something we talked about as far as purchasing that truck initially, and for that same reason, it was kind of postponed for now. I think those
Richard.
will all, without fully just divesting of everything at this time from the get-go, I think can be something looked at, 6 months, a year down the road. That's a very good move for the district, and we would support that.
There's plenty that can be provided back in for us to just let them sit there. Because the other 2 vehicles are being insured by the MUD currently. Only 1 vehicle.
That's,
Okay,
I think we're being helpful and responsive as best we can, but we're trying to stick to the rules.
Just
3
want to make
months.
sure that the board members understand my
I
question.
just said, we're trying to stick to the rules and the time limits.
And understanding that too. I get it.
Thank you.
Thank
Hi, Shelby Dill, 373 Lane. My question is for Mr. Matthews. I emailed you last week on August 13th to ask you some specific questions. To refresh your memory, I asked, what canals do you plan to dredge? Has it been permitted by Army Corps of Engineers? Where do you plan to put the material dredged out of the canals? Who is the Army Corps of Engineer project manager for this project? It's one item. On the second one, on June 11th, you spoke to Andrea Davis of the Army Corps of Engineers to discuss a project to do with the lateral canal in Bayou Vista. Is this the project, the cleanup of the dumping in the lateral canal? And then my third question, is there a project in the works right now regarding any kind of bulkheading of the lateral canal? Is this what you spoke to Andrea Davis of the Army Corps of Engineers about?
All right, I'll answer all those during the canal discussion.
Okay,
And
I will
did-
expect that, or I'll be right back up
and
here
I
at the
did-
end asking them again.
And there
Yep.
will be another public comment section at the
Right.
end.
And for the record, I did answer you on the email saying that I would answer those in the meeting.
I know you did. That's why I'm asking again right now, just to refresh your memory.
Thank you for your time. Agenda item 12. A large number of ratepayers in BV have reported their dissatisfaction with the progress of the work on the wastewater treatment plant to TCEQ. TCEQ has found the wastewater treatment plant to have multiple violations. Violations seem to have become a back burner issue with the canal project having the center of attention for this board. Until the wastewater treatment plant is in compliance and the much needed repairs to the plant are completed, the ratepayers of BV are not very interested in the canal project. There's been no person from BV involved in the recent plans. No plans have been presented or links provided for ratepayers to review. No one has seen an engineer's report, any plans, maps, or photos of the mysterious proposed work to the Lower Highlands Ecosystem Restoration Project and its impact on Bayou Vista. There's been no reason presented to explain why MUD 12 is even involved in this project. Agenda item 5D. The sensible approach to reconstituting the board of directors is to select a director who is knowledgeable in the problems with the wastewater treatment plant, how to work with the engineer, the operators to achieve compliance, and complete the work in a reasonable and cost-effective manner. That director should be a person who is honest, transparent, and respects the laws and regulations that the state of Texas has in place for MUDs and all governmental bodies. The general opinion currently being expressed by BV ratepayers is that they have no confidence in the current director who is acting as the president of the board. There have been numerous occasions that are now verified that statements that have been made are not accurate or honest. These are centered around correcting the sludge buildup,
Anyone else have a comment?
Barbie Miller, 194 Barracuda. I was wondering how your communication is going with the Corps of Engineer about the cleanup. Every month we seem to ask, and you say that there's no phone calls, they won't return your calls. You call on a weekly basis. I know last month you told Sherry Forster good luck when she said she was going to call. So I went ahead and called myself. I called the Galveston Division and left a voicemail. Within 24 hours, I received a phone call from Paco Ham. He said he's never received a phone call from you or anyone at MUD 12. As a matter of fact, he said until the day before, when he received a phone call from Sherry Forster, he had never heard about an issue in Bayou Vista. He also said that all calls to the Galveston office are routed to him. He asked for your number. I told him I did not have it. I told him he could contact you through the Galveston MUD 12. Did you speak with him?
No.
You've been telling the citizens of Bayou Vista, and it's on record, I've listened to him again today several times, that you call weekly to the Corps of Engineer and to get direction on the sludge cleanup, and you cannot get a response. Last meeting, you, not so nicely, told Sherry Forster good luck when she said she will call. Then we see there's a posted meeting on your Nextdoor app about the Omega Bay dredging, and a Corps of Engineers person will be present. Obviously, you've spoken with someone at the Corps to set up the appointment about the Omega Bay dredging. The appearance to Bayou Vista citizens is that you can get a hold of the Corps when it comes to Omega Bay, but not Bayou Vista. Have you been able to speak to them?
We had a WebEx with them this afternoon, 3 o'clock, Roy and I did.
So when you met with Andrea,
Yes, she was on the WebEx today.
when you met with her in June, y'all didn't discuss this? Because I
That was
went
by phone.
back and watched the tape.
That was by phone.
Right. But y'all didn't discuss the cleanup, because on that tape from June 15th that I watched again today from this meeting, you stated that y'all were going to meet or talk, and you would know how to proceed. So you're saying that, I just want to get it on record, that you are stating, once again, that you have made contact with the Corps of Engineer on a weekly basis via phone call, and no one there has responded to you. Is that a correct statement that you have told us all for months?
I have made a weekly call to the Corps of Engineers on the contacts that I work with.
I can't understand you.
I have made a weekly call to the Corps of Engineers to the contacts that I have been working with.
So how did you set up the meeting?
Well,
How did you set up your project meeting for the Omega Bay dredging? If you couldn't talk to the Corps of Engineer, how'd you have them, how are they coming to the meeting? How'd they know to come?
Because I spoke with the project manager this past week 4 times.
But when was that on Nextdoor app? Last
I don't
week?
put my
or-
meeting, I don't put my conversations on Nextdoor app. I put my conversations,
Well, we read about the meeting on the Nextdoor app.
right.
Okay, thank you.
For the record, we have been in contact with the Corps of Engineers weekly. For the record, Roy and I were on a WebEx today with Andrea of Exactly Permitting for the area for the issues in question. We exactly talked to the project manager, which you notice on the page information I gave you. He said the first time now, go ahead and contact the permit yourself. We were waiting for that decision before we could act. Andrea said to wait for that decision before we acted. That's what we did. We followed the directions of the Corps.
So you have spoken with them, because in the last 2 months, you said you've not talked to them.
I have talked with them on a weekly basis.
So now you're saying you've spoken about this. I'm very confused.
I speak with the people that can do me, that I'm working the project with. I don't speak to random people in the Corps. I spent 2 years digging through the Corps to get the project started. Now we have the project started. Now my only contact is the project manager. I have no other contacts with anybody else. That's the way the Corps works.
Did I still have time? No, thank you.
No, but hey,
Very-
Richard, what's the project manager's name? She's been here, right?
I'll give you his name, but
Oh,
please.
The other person? Okay. Sorry. I misunderstood. Yeah, you can answer. At your discretion, or it can come out with a report.
It would be very easy to give everyone names of the people that I've talked to, and I have on occasions. This past week, I had 2 people from the Corps, 1 person from Highland Bayou, call me, ask me, who are these people that are calling and trying to mess up our contracts? I explained to them who we were, what we're doing, and they said, fine, continue working with your project manager, or the people you work with. That's who I would work with. Eric?
Harry Finley, 879. You want to restart that? Harry Finley, 879, Bonita. Number one, in the write-up you have from the Corps tonight, there's nothing in that plan that has any prospect of any canals
Okay, just a
in
second.
either area.
This is not a minute. The first page is from the Corps, not from me. I did not write that up.
And that's
strictly-
where there is no scope
That's
for
what-
doing any improvement. Second, Mud 12 has no dredging authority whatsoever. I know your attorney has an opinion different than the TCEQ does, but the fact is, Mud 12 has no dredging authority. It never requested that. To have that would require a new election to delegate that authority to you. And given the performance to date of the Mud 12, I suspect that would be a tough sell. It's necessary to stop violating the discharge permit, and if you do not, if you continue to violate that, expect daily multiple formal complaints. And finally, will the board support efforts to dissolve MUD 12, to find other sources for the potable water distribution and wastewater treating, and just do away with MUD 12?
Say that last statement again.
Will the board support dissolution of MUD 12 by finding other suppliers for distribution of drinking water and for wastewater treating? Hopefully some that won't dump raw sewage in the canals.
I will let my attorney answer that question because that is a legal question.
He's asking whether the board supports it, but,
Will the board cooperate with efforts to find alternatives?
so, I apologize, Richard, but he's asking a question to the board's position. I will say that it's, up to the board whether they want to be polled on a question, from the public on their opinion on an issue that has not been put up for a vote. And there is no vote that I'm aware of or discussion that I'm aware of amongst the board on that issue. So,
So what will it take to get the board to address that? Do we write your letters? Do we find an attorney? What?
Richard,
The board-
you've already deferred one question. As we have mentioned, this is a comment period. You can come up back after to ask for more Q&A. But as far as what it would take, it takes members of the public asking the board about that issue. And you have presented it. So then it's up to the board whether or not to consider it.
This is not the time to answer that question.
Hi, Mr. Matthews, Sherry Forrester, 645 Warsaw. I asked you last month if you could give me your contact, and I believe you told me you were afraid that I was going to screw up your contract, and good luck getting a hold of anyone. I made one phone call to the permits department, and I reached out to Andrea Davis and Christy Hillman. She advised me that they are the two counterparts that would issue the permit for the sludge removal. She also indicated, and she has it written down, and she gave me times, that she had spoken to you in June, July, and August, and that the last time at my phone call with her on August 11th was the day before at 5:27 p.m. I'm a little frustrated that you can't be honest with the taxpayers. I understand that you want your project done, but the sludge that's in the canal is important to us that live here. And I feel like you're more concerned about me screwing up your project than me having the use of the water. And it's very frustrating. I personally voted for you, and I campaigned for you because I thought you were going to work for all three communities. And it appears to me, in the last 3 meetings that I've attended, that your primary focus is on Omega Bay. And I'm going to ask you to listen to the people that are here and please put the sludge forward and get rid of it. We're contacting the EPA. We're filing complaints. We're going to the point where we're going to hire an attorney and sue the MUD so that we can get results. And it's sad that we have to go that far because all we're asking for is your help. And I feel like you're blowing me off. That's not a professional way. You want to be treated respectfully, but yet you wished me good luck in reaching someone to help with the problem in the community where I pay taxes. So I'm going to ask you to step up and be the leader that I voted for.
Okay, thank you for your comments. The next item on the agenda is we'll consider the minutes of the last meeting. So as you record the minutes, do you have any changes or corrections to the minutes of any of the meetings?
don't have
Have
a
a vote
change.
to put the, have a vote to accept the minutes, Roy, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, minutes are passed, okay? Next is we'll have the appointment of the new director, which was voted on at the last meeting. And so I'll ask Sharon to just swear, Mr. Cruz, to swear you in.
Well, you can do it verbally or by writing if you'd like to make the statement. That would be great.
You asked me to do what now?
No, the statement can be done by signing the written statement. If you'd like to say it in person, that's great. If not, signing the written documents as soon as the board approves them, we'll put you on the board. Along those lines, guys, we have items A through C on this agenda item, are documents that are up for approval by the board. That is the oath, statement, and affidavit of new director. Upon accepting those, we can also accept a reconstitution of the board, that is the positions within the board, president, vice president, secretary, etc. Along with that, the last item, item E, is authorizing my office to update the records with the state of Texas regarding the board membership. That's what that is related to. So we can do that all in one motion or break it up however you see fit. A through C, reconstitute an E, or all together. How would you like to do it?
I'd like, question. In the past, there's always been a oath administered to the new board member swearing to the.
It's a written oath, just like yours. Signed and sworn to.
Okay.
I'm the notary. I just,
Okay, the last two, we had a.
Yes, sir.
hold our hand up, that's why I was looking.
That's
Okay.
exactly right. Now, we can always do the verbal. It is not required by law. Sorry. We can always do a verbal oath. It's not required by law. But it is just reading that statement out loud.
Okay.
And I'll move this mic over for the new director, but I would also ask that you discuss the constitution of the board.
Correct. If you will read the oath and will constitute the board.
Okay, let's do it. Items A, B, and C. You don't get to vote on this one yet.
Okay. You want me to read
What would
this?
you like to do? Yeah.
It's a statement of officer. The statement, I, Raymond Cruz, Jr., do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office of or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election of which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever case may be, so help me God. For which
You can leave that there, and since you're reading them, read the oath.
read the oath. Oath of office. I, Raymond Cruz, Jr., do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of the County Municipal Utility District Number 12, Director, Position 3 of the State of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of this state, and so help me God. Let me sign it.
That's an extra copy. Get it from Sharon. So guys, we have that along with an affidavit that he is qualified to be a director, which we have looked into. Here, sorry. Can you hear me on this?
No.
Or just this? That along with the affidavit regarding qualifications to be a director are up for your approval. Right now, items A, B, and C.
Okay.
I would just need a motion to approve.
I make the motion
to approve.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
All right, next item D, reconstitution of the board.
Okay. Do we have anyone who wants to reconstitute the board in any manner?
What's Roy gonna be?
Yep.
It's, here.
I'd like to make a motion that Ray be the treasurer. I'd like to make a motion that Ray be the treasurer and that the president stay the same.
All right, that's a motion. Newman, are you saying position 3 should remain assistant secretary / treasurer?
Yes.
Okay, so all positions remaining the same? Okay,
Yes.
Except for Ray will be the secretary treasurer.
okay. Sorry. Sorry. The proposition on the table is that Roy be assistant, assistant secretary / treasurer,
Would be the
and
main-
all other positions remain the same.
No, would be the main, motion was he'll be the main secretary.
Yeah, but Newman, do you want him to be the main one?
Sure.
Main secretary?
Yes.
All right, that's clever of you. He now has to put on a wrist brace when we got to sign things.
That's right.
You up for it?
Yes.
All right, then that's the proposition. We'll swap that out.
Okay.
Will you vote again?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The proposition for reconstituting the board would be that Mr. Ray Cruz would be the secretary or treasurer, Mr. Newman Sharp would be the assistant,
So
Eric
that's
Muller would be the vice president, Darrell Mays president,
You and
and
Newman
Roy
vote.
would be the
Newman had it like
board member at George overlooking the plan. So give us to have a vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. That's the
All right, I apologize. Item E is the authorization for my office to do all things necessary to complete the registration of the new board membership.
Okay.
And I need a vote on that.
You.
All right, thank you.
Richard, can I get a vote on that?
We need a vote on number E.
Oh, he,
Yeah.
I thought you said you were, okay. We have a vote on the approving of the filing by the lawyer on the amended district registration form.
I'll make a motion.
Eric makes a motion, second by Roy, all in favor? Aye. Okay, passes, all right. Okay, next item on the list is the bookkeeper's report, Lydia. We have the draft budget for 2021. Everyone got a copy of it, so Lydia will explain, talk about it.
I think we're going over the financial statements first, Richard. Right? Okay. So, first item on my report is we have a couple of bank transfers. We have a $10,000 transfer to the general fund and a $5,000 transfer to the debt service fund to cover taxes collected in the month of July. On the financial statements, if you go to the budget versus actual, which starts on page 11, on a year-to-date basis, our total revenue is 1.3 million against a proposed budget of 1.158 through 10 months of this fiscal year, giving us a positive variance of about 149,000. Our water expense expenditures to date is $263,000 against a 10-month budget of $254,000, giving us a slight negative variance of about $8,500. Our sewer expenditures are $340,000 against a budget of $269,000. Most of all of this is basically the repairs and maintenance that we have done as it relates to the sewer plant, which has we only budgeted around $10,000 and we've spent around $78,000 so far. Our general operating expenditures are $285,000 against a budget of $279 or $280, so we just have a slight negative variance of about $4,000. Our administrative expenses are $321 against a budget of $296, or a negative variance of around $26,000. On a year-to-date basis, we're still in the black to the tune of about $52,000. So that's where we stand for this year's current budget. Do you want me to move on into the budget? Yes. So this is preliminary budget draft number 2. We have a few changes that were made on the revenue side, only 2. After receiving more information with regards to the proposed tax rates that have been calculated by the tax office, I've now dialed in approximately $518,000 for the M&O tax collections for the upcoming fiscal year. And a couple of the changes that we made on the water and sewer taps, which are basically equal to what we have spent. So our now revised proposed revenue budget for this upcoming year is just shy of 1.5 million, a little over 1.5 million, at about 519,000. Our operating expenditures for water is roughly $321,000. We made some modifications after my visit with Nathan for the operations. For sewer, our proposed budget is $407,000. We had some modifications after I visited with both the engineer and with Nathan. And I've highlighted the items that have changed from the last one. General operating expenditures is $224,000, and we had one modification for engineering fees, and these engineering fees are engineering fees that have nothing to do with the existing capital projects that we are working on, because engineering fees for those projects will be dialed in as part of the project. Administrative expenses for the year is $364,000, and I don't believe we have any changes from the preliminary draft budget of number 1. Under capital outlay, after visiting with the engineer, we have now dialed in the influence screens and flow splitter, which is projected to be on the as an estimate of $339,000, and that includes both the project cost and the engineering fees. Also have dialed in $800,000 for the 2 clarifiers, and again, this also includes both the project cost as well as the engineering fees. And along with that, I have dialed in a reduction to the tune of $560,000 that we anticipate we will be able to recoup from the capital project fund bond proceeds that we have not spent as of yet, once we get approval from the TCEQ. So we basically have a total of operating costs of just shy of $2 million. This will require us to dip into our fund balance undesignated reserves to the tune of about $420,000. We currently have about $1.2 million in reserve, undesignated reserve, so we still have $800,000 that we will be able to have as reserve, which is more than 6 months of operating costs. So we're still good there. As I had discussed with some of the board members earlier, we should be able to recoup that within a couple of years once we get past this upcoming year. And that's it. Any questions? Richard, we don't want to approve this today because the tax rate has not been approved, so we will want to officially approve this budget next month.
Thank you, Lydia. Any questions from any board members about the existing budget and expenditures for the month or the proposed budget for 2021? There's been 3 different meetings on the budget, both in a special meeting and then in a separate meeting with Lydia. and-
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry?
I'm sorry. Were you talking to me? Oh, okay.
And so we've tried to capture every cost that we are assured of that's coming forward for 2021. Okay, pertaining to the, get my fingers back working. Let's take this up. Pertaining to the bookkeeper's report as far as ratifying the payment of the principal and interest payment, the statement for July 20th, bank transfers, and payment of monthly bills. Do we have a motion to accept? A motion from Roy to accept. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Newman. Any questions about the accounting that Lydia presented to us? All in favor, say aye. Aye. The monthly report has been accepted. Thank you, Lydia. She's doing a great job. Next item is that every year we have to, some people move off, don't pay the bills, some people don't, and so we have things we just have to write off. Closing up. We have 3 different accounts to write off, a total of $324.02. These are people that have left, moved off, disappeared for one reason or another. They have left bills unpaid. Any questions? Do you have a motion to accept these as a write-off? Roy and Roy, get this Roy right. Roy makes a motion to accept the write-off of these 3 accounts. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Good enough. Next item number 8 is the, we discussed it with Lydia, but it's just a separate issue, so we can discuss it more. Is there any questions about the proposed budget for 2020, 2021, commencing on October 1st, 2020? reason why we shouldn't accept the most of the?
Yeah, we'll approve it next month.
Okay.
Lydia asked that we approve it next month.
Okay, that's fine. We'll approve next month. Is there any questions that you'd like to pose to anything we may have missed?
Just on to item 9. It was covered under Lydia's report.
Understand? We tried to catch all the things here that we had lost. Okay. Item number 9 is to consider, now this is it's a legal requirement each year for each taxing district to consider a tax rate recommendation for the 220 tax year and approve all matters relating thereof, including publishing the notice of public hearing meeting and the proposed tax rate. So what you do is consider the publishing of the notice and the proposed tax rate. In the budget, the tax rate is being increased, and we have to go through the process that's required by the state. So is there any questions of the board?
Richard? So I just want everybody to understand that you are not adopting the rate today. All you're doing is approving to a proposed rate
Right.
of the rate that was that was prepared for us by Cheryl Johnson's office, and which is a lower rate than last year. And on approximately a $250,000 home, that tax rate would generate approximately $50 more in taxes, even though the rate is lower because the valuations have gone up. But this is not to actually adopt the rate, this is just to propose a rate to be published in the newspaper.
Yeah, and to clarify, it's authorizing the tax assessor collector, which use Galveston County, to publish that rate as required by law. It'll go in the paper. You've seen the tax notices in the paper, and that this will also include additional language with all the details of the actual rate and the cost to an average homeowner or homestead at the very least. And so that's all that will be authorized today. Next month, you cannot adopt a rate higher than you published. You can adopt one lower. I just want to be clear about it.
Right. So, what we need to do is to publish the notice.
Yes, sir.
That's all we need to do, publish the notice. So, all we're gonna, all we need to
But
do is to.
Richard,
What?
you do need to approve, the board does need to approve
That's what I'm
to
saying.
publish
Right,
this.
that's what.
That's what,
Right. So all the board needs to do is to approve the publishing of the public notice of the hearing on the proposed tax rate. That's all we're doing, is just approving,
Make the motion.
approving the notice. So,
Make the motion.
Newman Short makes a motion to
you get to
approve it.
vote on this one.
I'll second.
Eric, second, all in favor? Aye, okay. Motion passes to approve the notice of the meeting and the proposed tax rate, which is required by law.
That's approve the publication of the maximum tax rate.
That's all. So we did. Number 10 is the operations report, and before Nathan says something, I will say just a brief statement today. I had the privilege of talking with Ben Warren, who's working with TOPS, and he's our full-time employee, full-time person, stays with Just the Mud. A couple things he said, I asked him just how's things going, questions. He's ecstatic. He said, number one, he said the water's the cleanest I've ever seen in my life. And number two, I said, well, how do you like working for TOPS? He said he really enjoys it because he said I've already been on a couple of conference calls or video conferences with all the other operators under TOPS control. And he said once on a regular basis, they have a video conference where all the operators talk about the things they're doing, what they're working, how they're solving issues they're doing. And so they have a very great work relationship. And he's very complimentary on the cleanness of the water and the professionalism of TOPS. So, Mr. Nathan.
Well, thank you. How do I follow that?
Yeah.
All right, you've got our reports there in section 10, I believe, of your binder. I'm going to go a little bit out of order compared to how they are in that section, but I've got the, oops, did I do this? That's too easy. I've got the operations reports for July through the 20th of the month. We did make one new tax during the month, and that brings your connection count to 1,595. Below that on this first page is just a breakout of our invoice summary for budget line item purposes. A couple of the significant repairs I'll go over here on the manager's report in a minute. No leak repairs, of course, zero tags and cutoffs we don't, we're tracking right now. Page 2 shows your water usage, what was purchased from the Water Authority and what was billed and accounted for at 99% accountability for the month, which is very good. Bank fee samples were also good for the month. Below that on page 2 is just some historical tracking for you on the pumpage and accountability as well. That chart will be filling up throughout this year. Page 3 has the results for your wastewater facility for July as well. I know we talked about some of this at last month's meeting. You see the permit parameters on the left and the reported values on our through the lab results. We did have, remember we talked about early in the month, there was a violation here related to the solids from a high number earlier in the month, and it started tracking back down. We are looking good for August as well, more currently. But the plant running at 70% capacity for the month. We did have 9 inches of rainfall total, 6 of that all on one day. You remember that day? Go on to the manager report, which is just some highlights on repair and maintenance items. I did want to bring this up again on Sailfish Drive, where we had that gas company hit the water main. I've been working with that customer, working with the gas company to make sure that that driveway is put back together how they want it as well. All of this will be back charged to the gas company who did the damage. But our crew was over there today pulling out those additional sections. The gas company had salt cut the line through the middle of his driveway as well. So we had some additional panels to pull that I wasn't aware of. But so once we've got all those totals on that job pulled together, I'm going to get with Sharon on that to make sure a bill goes out to the gas company. And we've been in talks; they're expecting that as well. They just asked that we handle the customer interaction and the concrete and landscaping kind of follow up on that. So that's where that stands. Otherwise, normal preventive maintenance in the distribution system and at the water plant, things are looking pretty good. No real invoice items on this month's ticket. The special salinity testing is going on still in the sewer collection. We've done a few more of those, but the results we're seeing so far, again, are not a major concern. I'll talk more about the wastewater plant specifically and what we've seen there. That's still drawing the majority of our focus and energy right now. But we're continuing to monitor that, but it doesn't seem to be an emergency kind of an issue as far as the salinity and the inflow in the sewer systems. But we'll be reporting to Bill on as we get more of those results as well. Under the wastewater treatment facility, a couple items here. We did have a 6-inch gate valve on clarifier number 2 that we replaced. And we've got a number of projects here. I've put under pending because they weren't invoiced on our July invoice. But since then, just made some notes. Ben started as our employee on August 1st after the contract was executed at the last meeting. We've been working through step by step with the treatment plant. We've seen great improvement on the effluent quality. If you've been to the plant, I think you would echo that. We talked last month with Bill did as well as far as some of what we were seeing in the center works of the clarifiers and those operations. We worked with the contractor on August 5th to take down one of the clarifiers temporarily and make some repairs. There was seals and gaskets basically that were missing and severely damaged in the inner workings of those clarifiers. We did clarifier 2 on August 5th and clarifier 1 on August 12th. And Bill will talk more about the details of that and what we found as well. Otherwise, we're just working our way through the smaller items of the punch list that we talked about initially. Once we get into more significant, okay, it's time to look at these surveys or whatever the next steps. I'll bring that to you guys for approval before we push forward with those projects. But we're very much encouraged now that the plant seems to be operating as it should be. The solids are able to move around the plant as they should with these other repairs that we've made recently. And we're seeing that in our August results now, even the last half of July especially, and then our August lab results as well. So that's my report on operations, unless you have any other questions for us right now.
Yes. Y'all contact the people for the radios.
Mike?
Contact the people for the radios, for the meters.
On the meter reading, he asked about contact or communications with the meter company, correct?
Yes.
I was copied on the email that Sharon had questioned them on, and then apparently they replied back without replying, including that with me as well. So Sharon and I talked about that today. I'm gonna take that on a little more directly at this point. There's still a number of them that are having issues.
About 150.
Yeah, and it's kind of.
And they're still in warranty. So
Yeah.
let's get them.
Yeah, and they made some excuses apparently. I didn't see the reply back, but
It's still,
no, I'm saying they were excuses and not resolutions.
Yes.
That's where we're gonna push to get that a little further along.
Okay.
And if we need to start making those replacements and just back charging them,
okay,
we can take that action as well.
yeah, 'cause we don't want no false readings.
Yeah.
We don't want no upsets on those meters.
Yes, sir.
You get a microphone.
And I was over there when they changed the seals on the clarifiers. That water had not looked that good in a while. So that was real good, Bill. Now we need to do is change them out.
Thank you, Nathan. Good question?
So all of y'all don't know, but the meters at your house are read by radios. And the radios are warranty for 10 years. So they're right at 9 years and something, and there's about 150 that are bad. So we want to get those changed out so your meters read right. I know you want that, don't you?
So I can answer that actually. So this would be something for Nathan's office, the operator's office, to bring up to the district as a meter replacement project. That as things fail, certain meters exceed oftentimes 1 million gallons of reading. They become less accurate, and so it's a preventive maintenance issue. And so radio read smart meters, they are smart because they're on the radio. That's how behind the